Brent Porcio, TopVelocity.net, and welcome back. This is our second part on our 30 days to a top prospect player profile. So you watched the first part. I've heard some great feedback on it. A lot of guys immediately seeing the results, and that's what I want to hear, because that's what really comes down to. Just you're not getting all this great information. On top of that, you're not getting the training programs around this information, which is really, really key with the 2X Velocity program. So today we're going to hit into 60-yard sprint. So you got your gloves, don't need them today. That's good. All right, so today we're just going to work on 60-yard sprint. So really when it comes down to our 60s, we can really cut a tremendous off, maybe half a second off, or even a second, depending on where you are, with just understanding a technical approach or coming in with a technical approach. It's unfortunate. A lot of these guys go to these showcases and do their player profiles, and they don't have a sense or a technical approach when they get up there in the line and about to start their 60 yards. I think that's unfortunate, because you really have a disadvantage if you don't know how to technically run this 60-yard sprint. If you know how to technically run it, you really, right there, you have an advantage. So all you guys watching this who don't have a technical approach, I'm giving you one today, and I hope this really helps. I'm going to go over some of the basics today. Of course, on top of that, we have to put the performance enhancement into it, training the force production. Because when it comes down to it, the better athlete always will run it faster. Even though that better athlete could have the disadvantage and not have a technical approach to a 60, he could still dominate someone who's less of an athlete with a technical approach. So at the end of the day, the better athlete always wins. But we want to take what we have. So, if you come to me and you're like, this is all you get, can you make me better? Yeah, I'm going to give you a technical approach that can make you better. But if at the same time, what we're going to do in the next video and go over performance enhancement and how to really have a legal effect on enhancing our performance, that's really the bread and butter of this. This just allows us to use everything that we have. I just want you to understand how this works. So let's go over technical approach here. All right, so we start our 60-yard sprints like we would in a lead-off. All right, so you want to go off a leg that you feel comfortable with, so something you ultimately practice with. From here, we want to get not too wide of a stance, because our first feet, all our feet work early in the run are not going to be big steps. So don't get out here with big stance and get down low. I like you getting low, but something just outside of shoulder width would be good enough. From here, you want to take the outside leg arm and put it up, and the back leg arm and put it back from here. All right? This is going to allow us to really initially fire through with a better launch sequence, because our arms are going to be involved. Sprints overall will be improved if we can keep our arms and legs driving and working hard together. All right, so there's a lot we get out of arms as opposed also to our legs. All right, so just past shoulder width. We want to make sure in our stance that we feel stable, we feel strong. So don't be sitting with your knees forward. Get your butt down, okay? Put the load into your quads and get ready, and put the load also into your power pads, not really on your heels. Do not sit on your heels. The power pads is what we build more power out of. That's why we call them the power pads. So the power pad is the ball of the foot to the arc. On the power pads, break the hips and hinge the hips down, flex the hips down, load the quads. Outside arm up, back arm back, okay? From here, our first movement is going to be kind of like we do in our throws, trigger hip rotation by opening our front foot. We're going to immediately open, throw this back, open our front foot, and throw that forward as we kick the ankle through. That's like our first stride. That's why we don't want to be in a wide stance. If I do that, look where I am. That's too big to come out of. So something in a shorter stance, just out shoulder width, loaded down, and you're going to open your front side, throw this arm back, and that arm through, but that's too big of a stride. So, whoosh, and put that foot down with a lot of force. Don't try to open up into a big stride. Just turn and throw that foot down in a lot of force. From there, I want your chin down. So we can start chin down in the beginning, and from there, chin down as well. Because when I go chin down, I won't stand up. Okay, so if you start chin down right out of the gate, I'm going to stay chin down into my run, and I'm going to keep my back more linear towards where I'm going. So that would be your first move. So you could just practice that two-step. So, okay, and feel a lot of force hitting your front leg. I want a ton of force hitting your front leg. Okay? Once you do enough reps there and you feel comfortable, we're going to continue in our launch. Continuing in our launch is just keeping the feet driving up and the arms driving up with the chin down. So chin down, drive those legs up, hard into the ground, and throw those legs high as you really, really push turf into the ground. I want you punching force into that ground like this. Wham, wham, wham. With both legs and using those arms to do it and keeping that chin down. And wham, 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 wham. Pushing turf behind you. We have to really, really, really eat that turf in that first 10 yards. Here's another big tip. Hold your breath. When we hold our breath, we push out more force. Hold your breath. Boom, 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 boom. 10 yards, 10 to 12 yards. Once you hit your 10 to 12 yards, you can release your breath. You can go upright. And then we can take another breath and then start into our transition into our top speed. Okay, so basically the way it's going to go is we're starting here in our start position where we want to be on our power pads, loaded down, take our chin down, take our outside arm up, arm back. From here in our launch, we're going to turn the front foot, throw this arm back, that arm through, kick that leg through, pound all the force into the front leg, chin down, and then keep pounding force into the ground for 10 yards while holding your breath. So train that first phase, that launch phase, and just get better at putting more force in the ground. Now that is where you're going to have your big impact. Your big impact on your 60 is perfecting that start and perfecting how much turf you can eat holding your breath in those 10 to 12 yards. So you could just sit there and improve in those 10 to 12 yards. It will have a dramatic effect at the end, because if you get in 10 to 12 yards, if you get there in half the time as the guy you're going with, you pretty much have the major advantage over him. You will really, 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 really knock down that time in that first 10 to 12 yards. So really perfect that. The other thing too, you could spend days, months in getting better out of your start. The key is to get tension. Get as much tension in your legs as you can. We talk about tension in the 2X Velocity program. It's called torsion. And I'm not going to cover that here. It's more advanced. But as much tension as you can put in your legs here, they're going to spring. They're going to spring out harder, and then you just keep that spring going, that launch going as you eat turf, chin down, and blow through. Like you're running through a tunnel. Think of that as well. All right, so practice your launch. And then out of that, we go to what's called our transition, upright transition. From there, we're coming out of our 12 yards. We're up. We're breathing. We're taking another breath. And then from there, it's once we made that transition, we go into top speed. We get to a point where we try to sync up these movements and we try to get them as smooth as we can. It's the hardest thing to learn to really perfect a 60 is when you get upright and you go to top speed. The only way you're going to get to top speed is if you aren't trying to get to top speed. If you're not like going, it doesn't work that way because it tenses the body up and it takes away from its fluidity, its timing, its efficiencies to really, really start to pick up the top speed. Think about a car. You take a big truck, a big ugly looking truck with flags all over it. It might come out of the chute like a monster truck blowing out. It might be right there with that Indy car. But once it hits that first 10 yards, that Indy car is gone. Because even if it had the same horsepower, because that Indy car is more efficient, it's not breaking the wind, it's cutting the wind. So you've got to do the same thing to get to top speed. If you're all over the place still eating turf 20, 30 yards into it, you're losing your potential speed, or you're falling off your potential top speed. You're not going to hit your top speed. We've got to get fluid, smooth, efficient. Think aerodynamics, but same time, you got to be getting all the power out of your body as you can in that fluid movement. So that's the keys getting to top speed. That's something that you can go really advanced into as well. And you're going to have another big impact on breaking or cutting down your 60 times there. And also your finish. Taking a finish to where if they're recording it on whoever crosses this line, at the very end, throwing your head down will give you maybe cut off a split second as well. So we can work on timing the finish perfectly as well. And that's something that you would have to practice and get good at. All right, so that's the layup. That's the technical approach. Tension in your start position, chin down, everything lined up correctly, so we can put as much of a spring into that first step, and then keeping the chin down and eating turf, holding breath, relieving that breath, 10 to 12, upright transition. So it's not immediate, just up. It's a slowly transition to up, and then getting into that smooth, explosive, efficient top speed. So we take it into our finish and we finish forward into the end of the race. Think about that, guys. I've taken some guys, I'll say my best. I'll give you my best examples. I've taken guys high 7s to high 6s. I've taken a guy from low 8s to almost breaking 7. So we're looking at a second coming off. That's a big, big difference if you've been doing this for a while. If you've never been doing this, this could take 2 seconds off if you're running it 9 seconds, which is pretty poor. So it's not going to happen overnight. This is something you're going to have to perfect. It's something you're going to have to train. That's why we say 30 days. And at the same time, tomorrow, when you get the video on performance enhancement, you learn how to put more force, or how to train the ability to put more force in the ground when you're going through your launch. That is going to make another significant difference. Not only that, it's going to help us with our throwing arm speed, our hitting, the whole shebang when it comes to being that top prospect or that explosive power baseball player. All right, so hope this helps. Like I said, post all your comments down there. Love to hear what's going on, what you're working on, and look forward to tomorrow for our last video. Really excited. I love performance enhancement. I love talking performance enhancement. I have the best approach, and it's also the foundation of the 2X Velocity program.